So I'm on here today with Tricky. How's it going, man?
Good, man. How are you? Thanks
Uh,
for having me.
I'm doing pretty good. I can't complain. 2020's been a fuck of a year. That's all I'll say.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. 2020 has not been that great of a year, especially to the sport of jiu-jitsu. So I appreciate you interviewing me for this.
Oh man, when I started doing this whole podcast thing, I had the idea to do the face to face show, which is all mostly about like combat sports. And you were one of the first people. I was like, I need to get him on my podcast and just talk about this. Like, I just had to.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Thank you. Well, you did come and try my class, and unfortunately, you got a little injured in the ribs, but you did come and try it, so you do know, a little bit about me or where I come from. So,
Yeah, I was
um,
definitely not in the best shape to do that in. Definitely not. Yeah, broke a rib doing that.
when I started martial arts, man, I was like 250 pounds. So don't even worry about it whatsoever. You think you were out of shape? Man, I could barely even run when I started doing martial
I don't
arts.
know if I told you, I did my first boxing class was in fucking university. I was like, oh, I was in way worse shape than I was before that, and I barely made it through that. That was absolutely brutal. Like it was just like I puked halfway through that one, and like it was just like I don't know how I'm gonna just keep moving. I just got to keep moving, and like that was just basically it. Just keep moving and don't think about how your legs are all cramped up and all that. But that was the boxing class. But like the jujitsu class was just if I hadn't have busted the rib, I would have been fine. Like it wasn't anything like over strenuous or anything like that. It was just literally the injury. That was it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, at least you had a couple classes before it happened anyways.
Exactly.
But that's happened with jiu-jitsu. That those accidents happen all the time, like fingers, toes, cuts. If someone forgets to cut their toenails or whatever right before class, don't do that. Do it the night before because they're still sharp, and you will get cut. And like injuries happen in class, and if you return after injuries, awesome. If you can't, you find something better, then that's up to the individual, right? And
Exactly.
as long as you had a good experience, that's all that matters to me and my school and like the image and the community and everything, right? Because like everyone's got to find.
Exactly. It was great. You guys made me feel super welcome. Like I'd never met any of you before. Never had like a jujitsu class in my life. You're like, yeah, come on in. No, no worries.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Like to be honest, like that's what it is with jiu-jitsu. Like if you don't come in after talking to me or talking to whoever about trying a class, you'll never do it. So it's like come in, I'm happy to have you. My students will be absolutely excited to see someone new because they train with the same people all the time, right? And like
Fresh meat.
with yeah, fresh meat, I guess. Hopefully not fresh meat. No, actually, like I've actually instituted new rules. At the start when I first opened, I was like, whatever, we'll let people roll if they want to roll. That's their own choice. They signed a waiver if they want to train. Go ahead, and you know, a couple people, like including you, have got hurt training, and I changed it. So now it's like if you want to train, at my gym, then you need to train for a couple months, and then once you're comfortable with us and you get your first stripe or two, and then you come roll. But with the COVID, obviously you can't roll right now, but you can still come in and train safely, of course. With the COVID stuff, that's just crazy amount of policies and procedures I had to change. I had to rearrange my gym. It was
Yeah,
brutal.
that's something I was interested in. Like how like what are the specific policies with that like in place during this? Because I know everything has to be restricted and whatnot.
So like it first started when first COVID hit, like most of the gyms immediately closed. They were like straight up like we're gonna freeze your accounts, we're gonna close, just because they were in the big city, right? We're up here in Grey Bruce, like we barely have any COVID cases, and the COVID cases that we have, the recoveries are outcasing the actual new cases. So like at first I had to close immediately, right away. I had no choice but to close. Everybody, all my students were on board with the closure. Anyone that was like, I think it was like mid-March when we closed, and anyone who was mid-March, like their accounts were frozen so that they could come back when we reopened and train. And the 6-month memberships were frozen and reopened. So everyone was like super, super chill with that, and they were also like worried about their own safety. So like we kind of, we closed down just like everyone else, and then I started seeing other gyms opening up with like. Certain restrictions in place, like wearing masks and sanitizing and stuff. So I went to public health and I talked to my public health guy, and he was like, straight up, no, you're a gym, you can't open. So then I waited a couple weeks and I watched a couple other gyms open and how they opened, and I approached the Ontario Jiu-Jitsu Association on how to open and stuff, and I got a little bit of help from them. And then I kind of figured I wasn't my gym wasn't making any money, so for me to give money to another organization just to open, when I could use those policies and procedures and protocols towards my own public health and, still be open and get it done. So I went with that approach. So I basically took all the policies and procedures that they were using. They are a very professional organization, and I got a lot of love for them. But I took what I needed from them, and then I just, went to public health, and I was like, hey man, this is what I want to do. I made a presentation. I presented the presentation. I made phone calls. I emailed the guy. Went and talked to him in person. He never said no, and he never said yes. That's the thing with public health. When we come in the gym, you need to wear a mask. You got to have your uniform on. You got to pre-book class. I need to know who's here. I can't have more than 10 people on the mats. So 9 students. Fortunately for me, every one of my students is basically in the social bubble thing, where a few of them are the same household. 4 of them, to be honest, are the same household, and we have, I had to redesign the mats, so I have the 2x2 squares and all those 6 feet apart. So technically, I could only have 8 people in a class training, right? And then for the longest time, I wasn't even teaching kids because I didn't want to have so much trace involved with the kids. So I was like, you know what, we'll just cancel kids for a bit, and then we'll just focus on being open with no problems being open. We've been open for a couple months, and then I reinstituted kids, and then with my kids program, I'm only doing it once a week. And again, fortunately for me, for the students for the kids program are same household, so that they can train together. Again, we just can't roll. So they get everything of a class, completely the same class, just no rolling. You know what I mean? There's no rolling. So if you want to go roll, somewhere else to roll. Because you can't have physical, face-to-face contact. I guess maybe, if they wore face shields or something, but how are you going to do jiu-jitsu with a face shield?
That would be brutal. That would be absolutely brutal. The gi alone would be enough, and then you have a mask on top of that whole.
Be sweating all over each other.
That'd probably be even worse than just rolling and whatnot, just sweating all over each other. I guess maybe.
Yeah. Well, I have to actually stop class and make them take breaks just so that we don't sweat. And I'm very open with public health. I go there twice a day for my job, and we just, if they had any problems or any complaints, they would tell me, and I would shut down if I have to. I haven't had any COVID cases here, lucky enough. So we're just gonna keep training, and hopefully we don't get bothered because it is a private sports club. Everyone's the same household. We train, we sanitize. We train, we sanitize. Right? That's how we do it. And I want to be able to keep my business open. I'm a small business owner. I work full time downtown for Pure Later, but I also, this is my passion. This is what I want to do. I'm in year 4, and I want to keep going. So with COVID or no COVID, if I got to come in and wear a mask while I teach, then I guess I come in and wear a mask while I teach. It doesn't matter as long as I get to teach my students. They're happy, and I get to be happy, right? That's
exactly
the best part.
That's all that matters at the end of the day is just keeping yourself motivated during this. It's easy to fall off and easy to fall off. Basically, it's the easiest way I can put it. Is just you fall off and you go into something else, or you not even something else, just fall into depression, or you just slip into the bad stuff. I've seen a lot of that happen this year. It happened a little bit with me, but I've tried to work out of it. But you just roll with it. That's the only thing I can say. You just roll with the punches that comes at you, basically.
Just adapt and overcome, right? That's about it.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So, how did you get into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to begin with? What was the inspiration?
Oh, okay. So like I was saying, when I think it was 2011, maybe 2012, roughly around April time, I think about that. I was tired of being overweight, to be honest. I was 250 pounds. I was out of shape. You know how it is. You walk around, you're a male, you're a grown male, you think you're tough. People bother you at work, people bother you, think, you can handle it, but then, you can't. So I figured, there's a local gym in town. Locally he's a big legend. So I was like, I'm going to go try his class. So I walked in and I started with kickboxing, right? So I did kickboxing. For about 2 years with this guy and his team, and they're really good and very dedicated. And I noticed after class that they would do this no-gi wrestling stuff. So it'd be a mixture of jiu-jitsu with wrestling and then manhandling and
backyard jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, beating each other up on the mats, but it looked cool, so I wanted to try it. And I remember the first time I tried it, I literally got on the mats and I was rolling with a guy, George Kelly. He's a local legend kickboxer in this area. Super fit. I'm super out of shape. I get on the mats. They're okay, so we just roll. And I'm like, all right. So we start rolling, and like immediately he's like on top of me. He's like all over me. Next thing you know, I'm being choked out. And I'm like, okay, that was cool. Let's do that again. And then like every class after kickboxing, I literally either begged guys to do kickbox or to do the grappling, or like literally watched them go over there and ran over just so I could do it. And then like that's just where it started. And I did that for a little while, and then one of the main guys left to open his own school. It was like an MMA school, so I went over with those guys to train for a while, and I ended up doing a lot more no-gi grappling. So my coach at the time, Matt, he really wanted us to do a couple competitions. So I was like, okay, like doing this for like maybe a year, just no-gi. All right, I'll try it. So I went down to these competitions, and I got my butt whooped. Like I literally got beat up beyond belief. And plus the fact that I was still like 199 in weight. So like the guys I was fighting were like, 6'3", and there's no excuse because jiu-jitsu is a small guy sport, but like they're huge. And like when you're new, a huge person is like scary to be on top of you. Like it actually is panicking something. Right? Exactly. You know firsthand. When someone's bigger than you, it's scary to be underneath. But like with a little bit of experience in a couple classes, well, not a couple classes, but like quite a few classes and a lot of experience in training and like, strength training and eating better and sleeping, maybe taking vitamins, stuff like that. Like you'll get better and you'll be able to use your body to deal with someone bigger than you. But like I remember that was the scariest thing in the world was slap bump, and there's like hundreds of people watching you and you're getting beat up by a guy who might just be a little bit taller than you, but like so much bigger than you, and you're just stuck with this person for 5 minutes. And it's not a street fight anymore. It's 5 minutes of this guy on top of you, and it is brutal. And I guess I'm a sucker for punishment. It was fun. It was humiliating, but it was an eye opener, and I just, that's how I fell in love with jiu-jitsu. And then I remember my coach, he wanted to quit teaching or whatever, and I had basically nowhere to go. And I met a couple guys at the tournaments down in Toronto, and I contacted them like, yeah, man, come to our class. So like, got my little car and I drove all the way down to Toronto for my first class, and that's how I started with open mat. And then almost 9 years later, totally in training, and 7, almost 8 years with Professor Elliot Bader in open mat in Toronto. Like here I am with my own school, and like that's how it all started. I remember like my first role at open mat was like, again, it was another eye opener. Like there was all these dudes that were like so much better than me, like so much better than me. And I was, I dropped weight at this point. I was working out more. I was doing kickboxing and grappling, so I thought, I could handle this. And again, first time I roll with a woman, she whops the floor with me, and like, she's like 150 pounds, and she was also one of my coaches at open mat. And I don't think she doesn't train there anymore, or she doesn't coach there anymore, but like, that was an eye opener. It's like, first time you roll with a woman, if she knows what she's doing, you're done. You know what I mean? Like you can't use, you want to use a little bit of strength, but you want to use more technique. And like, I don't know if you ever watched the women's jiu-jitsu matches. Those girls can really go. And like, I remember the first time I rolled with a woman, she beat me up. And again, sucker for punishment. So I just kept going. And I got a gi, and then I started training in the gi, and I haven't stopped. You know what I mean? Like, and I really like gi compared to no gi. Like, I'll do no gi once a week with the guys, just give myself that cardio push, because no gi to me is a lot more. Not harder, but like more cardio and more physically demanding than the gi, where you can be a little bit more relaxed in the gi. But yeah, that's basically, how I got into it. It's just, I went here and I got beat up, and I was like, damn, I want to learn more. And then I went here and I got beat up more, and I was like, this is where I need to be, because these are people that are, world-class champions, and I want to train here. And that's how I got into it, basically.
That's awesome, man. It's basically like what you're saying, like a technique. If you know the technique, it doesn't matter how big you are. You're just gonna take them out. Like, it doesn't matter. But if you don't know the technique, you're pretty much done. You're pretty much done. That's it. And that was something interesting you were saying there. The gi to the no gi. You think the no gi is like more physically demanding than having the gi in it, but
absolutely.
But how you described it to me back when we were in the gym was you said the gi is heavier on like the body. So to me that doesn't make that. One would be like, to me, this seems the gi would be the heavier, the harder to go, because you have the gi on.
Yeah. So with the gi, with like the PJs, so with the gi on, like yes, it's added weight and it's heat, but like with no gi, it's faster paced. Like people are like, it's more wrestling, right? Like they're hammering into you because like there's less gripping, so it's more scrambling and more movement. It's more heated, and it's more of like, oh man, if I go too hard, I'm going to be out of breath. With the gi, there's friction, and you can relax, and you can get gis. Like, yes, you're still going hard. Yes, you're hammering against each other, but you can push away a little bit. Where with the no gi, you go to push, and you go to grab, like, you push their shoulder. Next thing you know, your hands are over here, and they're over here now, and then they're on their back. Right? With the gi, like you can kind of slow it down, a little bit controlled. Yes, with the gi, it's a little bit heavier, it's sweatier, but like with no gi, man, like if you did a no gi class versus a gi class, like if you went just as hard as you did a no gi class and the gi class, like I feel like the next day you'd wake up like you got hit by a no gi truck instead of like, a little smart car in the gi. You know what I mean?
That makes sense.
Like I personally feel like because I started in no gi and then I went to the gi and then I'm like, damn man, like I should keep doing no gi because like no gi keeps pushing my pace, right? Where the gi I'm comfortable and I can kind of relax and use grips, fancy guards. And no gi, like you can't use that many fancy guards in a no gi. You're gonna get passed or smashed, right? And like it's a bigger dude and you're sweating already and you're in your third round of class, man, like you're boom, and the next thing you know, like you're smashed, like it's done. And you have your frames and you're building, you're trying to use your technique, but like again, there's another reason why no gi's hard, because like technique works if you know what you're doing, but in the no gi, there's it's slippery, right? And like most guys that train no gi, like they strictly just train no gi. So if you're going against a black belt that's been doing no gi for 10 years and you've been doing gi for 9 and you're a brown belt like me, like man, that no gi black belt's probably gonna, clean the floor with me, to be honest. Like I might be able to keep up with him and might not get tapped out, but like if he's been doing no gi competitively, he's gonna be all over me, guaranteed. Because he's just he's gonna be more in shape for no gi wrestling than I am for my gi wrestling, right? But you are right, like absolutely. You put a gi on, you start sweating right away, but like you do, the same amount of time as a hard no gi class, like I feel like you would see that the no gi is a little bit more intense than the gi, especially when you watch like gi battles like at the IBJF level or like ADCC level. Like no gi, like they look intense, man, and then you look at a gi and it's like slow, controlled movements, and like yeah, they're fast, but it's very slow and controlled. Where the no gi is like boom, 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 and then like it's it's a battle the entire time. It's a scramble the entire time. I personally find that everybody's different, but when I watch different battles, like I watch no gi for excitement, I watch gi for technique, right? You know what I mean? Like I guess I don't know.
That makes complete sense, because like watching just like judo and stuff like that, it's the same thing. Like they have just such a pace with it, but they're not like you said, just like fast as like just bam 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 with like their movements and stuff like no-gi. But yeah, that makes complete sense. I didn't think about it like that. Just the pacing would be definitely a lot more intense. So what got you into martial arts to begin with? Like to begin with, like for me it was Shanghai Noon, that movie.
That's a good movie, man. No, Jackie Chan for life. No, for real. No, but I mean, like I said, like I was 250 pounds, and I was tired of being overweight, and I was tired of being, I thought I was tough, high school, blah blah blah. You punch people, don't tell anybody, but you know what I mean, like that kind of crap. Like you think you're tough, and then you realize like you're not. And then it's like, well, how do I, lose weight and, better myself, better my confidence? And then, like I said, I just walked into a local guy's gym that was a legend in the area, and, I never stopped. And I just, went to another gym and then haven't left.
That's fair. That's fair. I mean?
So, like,
I was just wondering if it was like, oh, I watched so-and-so, and it's just like, I got to do that sort of thing. Like, no, okay.
No, to be honest, man, like, I don't even watch UFC. Like, everyone's like, oh, do you watch UFC? Do you watch these fighters? Like, maybe a little bit before I did martial arts, because like I just don't. Like everyone's like, you don't watch UFC? Like what do you mean you don't know these fighters? I'm like, man, like talk to me about Jiu-Jitsu. Like we can talk about Ryan Hall, we can talk about Keenan Cornelius, we can talk to Meow Brothers. I don't watch fighting, so it wasn't, it just never got, yeah, I got into high school brawls, but I mean like don't like. Not just I didn't want to learn how to fight, but I just wanted to, kickboxers are confident, they're in shape, the guys in town, like I met some of them around town when I was younger. You know, you hear about them and you hear about this like local legend guy with these really awesome classes. So like, of course you want to sign up when you have nothing to do, and then like, you know, you work and then you go do kickboxing. You know what I mean? So it was like, you know, just like a lifestyle change for me. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. So I just did this. And then next thing you know, I was doing open mat over and over again, as in jumping in my car and driving for 2.5 hours to Toronto to train a couple hours, eating in Toronto, and then, you know, training again, and then driving home, and then working at 4 a.m. at Pure later, and then doing it all over again. You know, I did that, I think, twice a week for the first 5 years before some life things changed. And then I went to once a week, and then, you know, haven't been there since I think March 15th of last year or something like that, but it is what it is, right?
Life happens, unfortunately.
Exactly.
It really does. So when we're talking about like small towns martial arts, like when I was growing up, there was 2 in town. Oh, there's you and the Combat Academy, and that's pretty much it. So
yeah,
it's really just interesting to see like how that works out, like it's like the struggles and all that. But like, do you find like a lot of people, like, has there been any like pushback to this, like people like, what is this, like any like small town resistance with that?
No, absolutely not. No. So what happened was, so before I opened Tricky BJJ in 2016, I was actually teaching at Blue Crane Kung Fu, which is probably one of the places you're talking
Yes,
about.
sir.
Bob Robbins guy, he's another local legend. His kung fu is phenomenal. You know, even into, I think he's almost into his 60s. The last time I seen him, like, he could seriously do kung fu, and it was pretty awesome to watch him. What happened was, I knew someone who was training there, and they wanted to help me get training because I went from twice a week at open mat to once a week. So they were like, you know, maybe if you come in and help teach here, you could get some free training and get some training partners out of it. So that's what I did. So I started teaching at Blue Crane. I did that for almost 2 years, and then like I had clientele, and you know, my father was fortunate enough to buy a building, and he was like, hey, like, you know, you have students, like, do you want to open a gym? And I was like, I don't know, I better talk to my professor. So I talked to my professor, because I was only a blue belt at the time. So I talked to my professor, and he was like, well, what do you think? Do you want to do it? And you know, we talked a few times, and you know, at the time I was like, I don't know if I'm ready for this. But then I kept trying, and people were like, oh, you should open a school, you know, you get your own space, you know, people don't have to tell you what to do, you make your own classes, all that stuff. So I saved up some money and, you know, some help from, you know, my dad, thank you very much. We got mats, because mats are crazy expensive. Don't ever think it's cheap.
Oh, I've checked them out.
Is not cheap. Like, it was expensive to open this place, and like, lucky enough, like, you know, I have a really good job, and you know, I have backing from my father, which is very much appreciated. And you know, so I taught for a while, and then I opened my own school, and I left on good terms with Bob, and then you know, I just keep getting more students. And you know, the thing is, like, I'm only allowed 10, and I always have people contact me to take classes, but like, I've always only ever had like 6 to 8 students. And like, you know, jiu-jitsu, like, people try it. There's lots of free classes available. You try anytime, but they just don't come back. Because, like, you know, some people just don't like jiu-jitsu. Like, it's too close, you know, the face-to-face, sweating, you know, it gets a little, you know, it gets a little close in here, right? And that's just, you know, one of those sports where people don't like it. Where karate, it's more, you know, traditional, you know, you're by yourself, you're learning cool things, and then you get to fight a little bit. You know, kickboxing, same thing. Where jiu-jitsu is like, you're with someone you don't know, and more than likely they probably have more experience than you, and you know, hopefully you're walking into a good atmosphere. That's all. And they'll help you, right? I don't know.
That's definitely, like I said, that's how I felt when I walked in there. I was nervous because like never done it before, but like you guys were like, hey, yeah, come on in. This is what we do. Don't do this, do this. We're fine. Here we go. That's basically it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Like, to be honest, like, anyone can try it. It's for jiu-jitsu's for everyone. Everyone says that. Like, I'm not the only person who's ever said that. That jiu-jitsu is for everyone, but like, chances are it's not for everyone, right? Like, it's for everyone to try, right? It's a great sport. It's healthy. It's awesome for your, you know, your physical, your mental, your emotional, everything. It's great for you. But again, some people do it and they come and they stay. Some people do it, they leave right away. They're like, oh my God, I'm never doing that again. But I've always had a positive response from people when they leave my gym, and that's the best part. Like, I always try to be like super nice and super friendly and very approachable. My students are like really awesome dudes. To be honest, most of my students have been with me for quite a few years, and like, we're a family, and you know, like, family always welcomes new family, and my guys are goofballs, and you know, like, I love them. They're great guys. They're full of energy. You know, we have lots of good times. You know, some of them have left, you know, to go to school or work in the city, and then they come back and they train in my gym, and it's like, wow, man, thanks. Like, to me, that's like the biggest respect ever. Is like they go and they come back, and I'm like, damn, thanks, man. Like, you're a cool dude. Thanks for training with me. Right? Just like you, like, man, you came in and you tried, and like, you know, I think it was about a year ago, and like, thank you for trying my class, and like, look, now we're having an interview with you, and like, this is amazing. You're a local dude, and I couldn't be happier to do it for anyone else.
Hey man,
Like,
I'm just glad you wanted to come on and do this, quite frankly.
absolutely, man. I'm waiting for someone to do this. Like, I'm like literally like people like they tell me like people came from other gyms in different cities and they come and train and they're like, "Kyle, man, like you're a hidden gem. Like no one knows where you come from, nothing." And I'm just like, so I was like super happy to do this. Like any questions you want to know about me or anything, like I'll let you know. Like this is perfect for me. This is awesome. It's good for my gym, and like I get to help someone locally, right?
We were saying like you guys, you do have like a positive, your gym has like a lot of positive responses. Like 3 years in a row, you guys had the best youth rec program in the city, and it's been voted on by the people. Like clearly you're doing something right with that. Like you have a great response with people.
We're trying. No, we're trying. Like the kids are really good, man. Like and like with my kids program, like a lot of kids programs, like it's a lot of like fun and games and stuff. Like my gym, my program, it's jiu-jitsu. Like my kids, like I don't say they have to compete, but like when competitions are back on, man, like Tricky BJJ is coming back to the competition mats. Like we train all the time. Like my adult class, man, 100% I back them. If they want to compete right now, every single one of them that would compete is ready to compete. They train all the time. With my kids program, same thing. They train hard. Like, me and my co-coach Jacob, like we're super easygoing guys, and like we love jiu-jitsu. We want to see people get better, and like with kids, like man, like I've had some criers on the mats, even though like they tap somebody out and they cry, and like it's like man, like like you gotta talk to them and stuff, and like they train hard and they want to be here, and like me and Jacob want to be here to help them, and I think that helps the kids keep wanting to come back. And like I don't know, maybe they think me and Jacob are cool guys. Who knows? Doesn't matter. But like you're right. Like with my kids program, I put a lot of time into it. Maybe like when we were running the program, it was twice a week for 2 hours. But like those 2 hours, like legitly, I was on the mats with them, like right beside them, trying to teach them. And like with competitions, I was right there. Like that's just what I do. And like people in the community recognize that. And, I talk about jiu-jitsu, and like I'm the downtown pure here, so like everybody knows who I am. Everyone knows I own this gym. So like I talk about it a lot. So like a lot of parents know who I am. I've done some charity work. I've done some work for the high school. I've two of my students go to the new school up by the college. Yeah, up there, whatever it's called. So like the word is spreading. Like if you want your kid to learn something good from a good place, and that I'm not going to put up with any, jokesters on my mats, and they're going to work hard, then I'm the place to train your kid, right? That's and I think there's a lot. So like a lot of community recognizes that, and like you're right, I did win 3 awards, me and Jacob, for our youth program. Like the first year we came in bronze, so we got 3rd place. The second year, 2019, we got platinum, so that was really cool. Like we got like a little party and like some exposure. That was really awesome. And then this year, like I had to cancel my kids program like halfway through COVID, but I still managed to get, I think I got silver. So I think I got 3rd place or something like that, or 2nd place or something. I forget what it was.
Still better
but,
than
like,
nothing.
It's amazing. And I was up against like some serious like kids programs, like dance programs. They're like way awesomer than jiu-jitsu. Like, there was like a couple other, there was like the kung fu program, which is like a way bigger program than me. I just appreciate all the community support. That's, it was, the parents helped me. My students, they helped with the voting and stuff like that. Just, we tried to, we're a small little, school, but like we got big heart, So we just want people to know that. So like when there's awards and stuff, I'm gonna sign up, because my guys, they train hard and they're athletes and they deserve like the credit they get. So like again, this is another reason why I'm here right now, because this represents my kids, this represents me, my my adults, and like it needs to be done. They need to have some light on them.
I completely understand, man. So where's the name come from, Tricky? That's something I want to know.
Okay, so basically, like it started when I was like a teenager or whatever. When I first moved up to this area, this is a gamer tag, man. Like tricky gamer tag, right? And then like I started doing jiu-jitsu, and like, you know, I do tricky moves. Like, you know, I set you up. You know, I'm not saying I'm good at jiu-jitsu, but like I'm okay enough to be able to set up people that are less skilled than me, right? So like, you know, oh, that's a tricky move, and then, you know, oh, that's a pun intended, right? So like, it's tricky BJJ because I try to keep up with modern jiu-jitsu, right? So like, traditional jiu-jitsu is awesome. It's really needed to fundamentals, but I also harp on the fact of sports jiu-jitsu because I really like competing, and I like my guys to compete, even though I don't compete as much as my guys. Thank you guys for competing instead of me. I'm always there to coach you though. But I mean, I mean like, yeah, no, it's just a name, right? And like I do tricky things, so like I teach tricky moves, you know. So like when I do my setups, like you think I'm doing this, but like, you know, I teach my guys to set you up thinking, you know, this is gonna happen, but bam, this is coming out of nowhere, right? So like tricky BJJ, it's just like, it's modern jiu-jitsu. That's who I am, you know. Like, you know, if you knew me on my job, I'm on the social committee at my Pure Layer job, and you know, I like to bug everyone. Like I go around, and you know, if it's their birthday, I'll saran wrap your door. You know, like I like to have fun. So, you know, like, yeah, don't tell anybody. No, but no, seriously. But like, honestly, yeah, that's just, you know, that's just where the name came from. Tricky BJJ. It's original. Like, I think it's original name. If someone can find where they had it before, sure, tell me, and maybe, you know, we can talk about it. But like, I do have a business license with Tricky BJJ. So no, it's, you know, it's on my shirt. No, but I mean, no, it's a good name, and it represents me, and you know, it's my nickname, and like, you know, people know me on Facebook as Tricky. You know, even my customers call me Tricky. It's hilarious, to be honest. But you know, it's just one of those names that stick, and you know, Tricky BJJ, that's what's up.
Exactly.
It just makes sense to the gym, right? That's all.
Yeah, that's something you said there actually was something Noguera actually said that I remember back in the day when he was talking about jiu-jitsu. He's like, I'm trying to make you do one thing, trying to make you think I'm over here. It's like a sleight of hand sort of thing with magic. It's like,
absolutely,
everyone's looking over here, but I got you over here.
Yeah. No, that doesn't happen for a couple of years. Like, to be honest, like how do I reference jiu-jitsu? So like anytime I try to teach something, like I'll try to teach like, you know, closing this is a takedown, a pass, or like, you know, you pull guard, you sweep, you get on top, blah, blah, blah. But I talk about like iceberg positions. So like, you know, we talked about before we did this interview about like my favorite submission, my favorite technique, stuff like that. And like, jiu-jitsu is my favorite technique, my favorite position, and my favorite submission, to be honest, because like it's everything, right? And as you know, like I'm not even a black belt yet, like I'm just a brown belt, but like I'm starting to see things unfold as they happen during the roll. So I feel like as long as what I call is an iceberg concept is as long as your iceberg is ready, the tip, which is the ending of the submission, you'll be fine. So like you get them taken down, you hold that position, you control, you slow them down, you tire them out. Maybe you advance your position, your first attack doesn't work, so you go for another one. They change, you go, and then like, you know, you just dominate, and then you win, right? So like, it's hard to say, like when you were gonna ask me about that, about like seeing things like unfolding or whatever. It's like that like as you go, like I know black belts are like high level black belts, and they tell me it's like the Matrix. Like you just see things. It's just like boom, 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 and it's like this is gonna happen, or this is gonna happen, or this is gonna happen, and you're gonna make this happen. They're gonna make this happen. You're gonna do this, and like jiu-jitsu is amazing. So like I can never ever pinpoint anything that is like my favorite. Like my favorite technique to play with would be De La Hiva. My favorite submission would be an armbar. But like if I'm going to win a match, I'm gonna get a rear naked choke. Because then I know when I'm on your back, you're dead. That's just the end. You're dead. There's nothing you can do. You're dead. Armbar, you can walk away. I get on your back, choke you out, you're dead. That's it. Right? So like if I teach anything that's like serious competition wise, like iceberg wise, like pass, get on the back, tire them out, control, choke them out. That way you know it's done and over with, right? I don't know. That's just maybe
that
just
makes
a side
sense.
topic.
As opposed, yeah, like you said, not get up and walk away from that one right away. Anyways, have a little
Yeah,
nap.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like I love arm bars. Like you can get them forever. I think there's like 18 or 19 arm bars that you could do, and like they're amazing. And like I love teaching arm bars, but like if I'm gonna win a fight, I'm going for the back and I'm gonna choke you out because then I know it's done. Like it's over, right? Like if someone's on your back and you can't finish that fight, you need to go back to the match and train more. Because if you get someone's back, you should be able to destroy that partner. unless they're like super amazing and it's like no game, they slip right out. But hey, like get back on there and do it again. Boom, get them, right? I don't know.
Have you had to like? Do you have any stories of like your students having to use this in like practical? Like I'm not saying like outside of competition, like practical, like real life situations where like they had to use some sort of this to get out of it.
Well, I've heard of stories of that, like in the city schools. But personally, up here, the only thing I ever hear is like my students, decide to get a little funky at a party and end up hurting themselves because they try to do something on their friends to show off. But that's just, guys, boys will be boys, and that's what happens, right? So like, no, to be honest, like I haven't had any person like personally try to do anything to me since I've been open to try to make me use jiu-jitsu. I've never heard of my students, other than, having to do stupid things, having to use jiu-jitsu, which is amazing, to be honest, because I'd rather them not. I'd rather them not hurt anyone or hurt themselves. Jiu-jitsu, like, to me, jiu-jitsu is about, like, bettering yourself. So when you come in here and you're upset, you feel better when you leave, right? And if you don't feel better when you leave, then maybe go find a new sport, right? Because, like, I don't want them to ever have to use it. If they did, I would hope they did good with it. No, I honestly don't know. Like, to be honest, like, I hope they walk away because, like, like, everyone has their tough guy moments. Everyone gets upset. But, like, at the end of the day, like, we train to dismantle and disable people, and, like, you shouldn't have to use it if you don't have to. Like, maybe if it was in Toronto, they might have to. But, like, up here, please, like, I hope they don't ever have to because, like, that could be scary for them and scary for, my name in the community. Like, I don't want, if I have a student come in here and he's only learning to go beat people up, he can go train at the other gym. I don't care. I don't want you in my gym. I'd rather you go to someone else's gym and do that. Like, you come here to, like, learn how to do jiu-jitsu, not to learn how to beat people up. So hopefully that doesn't happen. And if it does, then, hopefully it helps them. But if they're going around just to pick fights, go find a new gym because Tricky BJJ is not where you're going to be, because if I find out, you're out of here. I don't have time for that.
That's good. That's how it should be, quite frankly, honestly.
Yeah. I want to teach men or women that are full-grown adults that are, responsible, good members of society. Like, even with my kids, I don't want any psychopaths in my class. Like, if they are, like, I'll talk to the parents and don't come back, I guess. Like, I don't know how I've never had that situation happen. So I haven't had someone that comes in to want to look fight. I never had a kid come in and, just be, mean to other kids and pick on other kids and want to learn how to fight. So I've never had those issues, and hopefully that never happens. But I'm sure it has happened, but just not me. Luckily for me, it hasn't happened because I'd rather that not happen, to be honest. So yeah, that's all I got. You never go looking for a fight. Never. Right? And stuff doesn't mean anything, man. Like, you could be a purple belt in jiu-jitsu, competition jiu-jitsu, and get punched out. Just saying, man, like that, MMA is tough. So, like, if somebody knows how to punch and you think you know how to do jiu-jitsu, and you walk into a punch, like, punch, you get punched, you get knocked out, man.
That's the end of it.
Like, I just hope it never happens. That's all.
Exactly.
I really, you should know better. Like, for me, like, I'll just walk away and be like, okay, buddy, get lost. See you later, man. Have a good night. You know what I mean? Like, leave me alone. Like, I'm not doing this. If you want to come try a class, sign a waiver, and you come try a class. That's about it. That's probably what I would say, to be honest. Because, like, what else would I say? I wouldn't be like, yeah, let's go, man. Let's do this.
Choke you out right now, bro.
Go for an armbar? Like, come on. That's not gonna happen, man.
Oh man, that would be. I would just pay money just to see that happen. Just that play out.
Those old school UFC videos. That's where that starts.
Gracie in action. Gracie Jiu-Jitsu in action. Oh god.
Yeah.
But competition wise, you've like had a lot of students like win a lot of like. Have you had like a lot of students win like a lot of things? I hate to ask that question. Sound like I don't know what I'm talking about, but.
No, like, I've had a lot of students win. I've had a lot of students lose. Myself, I've competed a few times in different color belts, and I've lost. I've won. It's point fighting. Sometimes there's submission-only fighting. Like, they do the best they can on the day that they get, and, at the end of the day, whatever the results is, like, to go down to the city and fight guys that train with black belts and brown belts where there's only, a couple white belts, a couple blue belts here, and one purple belt now. Like, man, like I give them props. Like even if they lost, like they go there and they compete, man. I'm proud of them. That's manning up. That's next level stuff, man. Like that's those against guys that are 100 times probably better than them. They probably train 3 times a day. Some of those guys, and my guys go down there and yeah, we do well. And like I'm connected to a very good team. So like when we go to those tournaments, like I'm not the only one there. Like yes, I'm there, but like my professor is there, like my coaches from open mat are there, like there's other open mat people there, so like the vibe is good for my people. So like I think they do well because the confidence is there and they know that like we're watching. But like if they lose, like I don't care. Like that going down there and doing that, like banging with someone that's your size that trains probably more than you, like that's incredible, man. That's a big deal to me, because like I've done that and I've lost and I've had to go back and lose and like, man, I would never, ever, ever be ashamed of anything any of them did. Even with my kids, man. My kids did amazing at the tournaments. Like, I couldn't believe the way they represented. No, man, like, they do good. Like, I don't know, like, we ever go world class or anything, but, like, we go to Toronto, we compete with guys that are, they're good. They train harder than us. They got coaches that are, I'm the only coach, right? I'm the only guy doing it. And, like, these guys got 15, other high-level world-class coaches, and, like, we do good. And I think it's just the team we're a part of, the confidence that I give, and, like, I'm there for them. And, if they have questions, I help them. And, we watch the videos of their competitions, and we fix problems. Like, a couple classes after a competition, we haven't had a competition in a while, but, I mean, a couple classes right after competition, the first couple things we do is drilling the problems that other people had in the competition so that it's fixed for the next one, right? Because like it is just a game, it's just a match, it's a death match to some people, but to be honest, it's just a match. It's a game, you don't call it a fight. Like it's a match, you slap, bump, and you play human chess, and hopefully you win. And I would never ever be ashamed or like, man, those guys, they make me proud, man. Like their names have been in the paper over the years. Freddie Wallace is giving us shout outs on the radio. Like, man, big props to my people, like, no matter what they did. Always be proud.
Hell yeah. It's, like, just the fact that they stepped up in the first place to do it. Like, 99.9% of people wouldn't do it. Like, just to step up, like, in competition. Oh, you can actually, like, not so much a fight, but, like, a fight against another human being? No, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, and then be like 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes with that other human being who literally trains to kill other people. Like, man, yeah, like MMA is scary. Like, absolutely. Like, I wouldn't want to do MMA. I'd be scared shitless. But I mean, like, for jiu-jitsu, like, it's the same thing, man. Like, they step on the mats, half their energy's gone. Their nerves are shot. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's a big deal, man.
Adrenaline's a hell of a thing. Like that adrenaline dump at the start is just. I've performed a lot in my life. Like I've done a lot of like performance poetry, and I've performed a lot on stage. So that adrenaline dump and that adrenaline rush is just, it's something else. If you don't know how to ride it, you're gonna get just dumped on. Like it's,
and like your energy's gone. Like you could be the most confident, like game face dude, and like you step on those mats and you look at the other guy. Don't ever look up people's names on Instagram, too, who you're competing with. Don't ever do that. That's a good suggestion. Don't look at brackets. Just go and compete and do you. But, I mean, like you said, you get on those mats and you look at that other dude who's ready to kill you, and you're like, uh-oh. And, like, your game plan's out the window, right? And I've been there. And I've had, I've drilled just my game plan for weeks before a tournament. I get there and I slap bump, and I'm like, crap. You know what I mean? So yeah, no, absolutely. Like the adrenaline dump, like that's like an incredible achievement. Even if they lose, that's just anyone who does any competing whatsoever, gets on a stage or has people watching them while they do what they love doing. That's just amazing. That's just, even if you terrible, it's still amazing.
You still got up and did it.
Experienced it, you learn. Yeah, and hopefully you grow from it, right? Like I watch the tapes of my guys, like I'll mentally write stuff down in my head while they're competing, like, oh damn, we gotta fix this as soon as we get back, because that shouldn't have happened, right? So like, yeah, man, competition is the biggest test, and like, man, my guys do good, and they win, they lose, they learn, and they win, they lose, and they just keep going, right? And like I said, they're ready. So like, anytime there's competitions back, like I got 4 or 5 guys that are just waiting to compete because they love it, right? And like they live for it. So. My guys train 4, 5, 6. Some of them train twice a day. To be honest, they do it at home. They watch YouTube videos and they train. So they take it seriously. So hopefully, competitions comes back soon. Ontario government, hurry up.
Let's hope so.
we're athletes that want to compete, and we're small business owners too, right? So they got to open up so we can do what we got to do, right? So, people get to do other things, so people got to do what they love, and jiu-jitsu is what we love.
Exactly. So like we were talking about earlier, it's a physical sport. What's the worst injury you've gotten doing Brazilian jiu-jitsu?
Oh, besides fingers, toes, and cuts, black eyes, I almost lost a tooth. My front tooth went backwards on me. That's with a mouth guard.
Yikes.
Mouth guard was awesome. I probably lost my tooth, but a couple years ago, I went to a Nogi seminar for one of my favorite coaches, and probably like one of my most, is this the right word? Inspirational coaches I have.
That makes sense.
Like he's a friend now, Dennis Beeman. Amazing Nogi guy, amazing. He's a brown belt, high level, world class, went to Pans, Worlds, done it all. He's like 126 pounds, man. And he was my first coach at Open Mat before Elliot, and I've always stuck with him, and we're friends and we talk, and he's come here to do seminars up here, and I've gone to his. So I went to this one, and it was leg locks. And I was a purple belt at the time, and I didn't know nothing about leg locks. So I went, and I was like, okay, I'm going to learn about leg locks. So I did 2.5 hours of leg locks at this seminar, and we got to roll at the end. And of course, Dennis is like, hey, of course, I'm sorry, it was me. I was like, Dennis, man, we got to roll because I got to go home. Like, I got to get back home. It's a 3-hour drive, so let's roll. So he's like, all right, we'll roll. So we start rolling, and immediately puts me in a honey hole, and I had no idea how to get out of it. So I was trapped, and we're rolling, and he's going for ankle locks. I'm like, well, that's fine. I could defend the ankle lock, and then he goes for a heel hook, and I don't know. I think he took mercy on me, and he let go. And he went for a foot lock, and it was one foot lock, so we were drilling at the seminar, and he literally took my foot, and because of what we were working all class, it went pop, 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 right? So like it dislocated like 3 times, and then went back into place, and again I had to drive home after that. So I remember driving home with that, and I took my shoe off, and my foot was so sore. So like the next 3 months of work, I worked every day, and I had horse tape around my ankle. Putting it together, keeping it straight because it was bad. It was painful. That was probably the worst thing I've ever had happen to me. I had my bicep torn, I think about a year ago, from another guy who's about 120 pounds, brown belt, Rodrigo. The guy's amazing. Shout out to Rodrigo. Hope you're doing well. Amazing. And we were rolling. It was Nogi, second injury. No, we're rolling. And I was turning from back into closed guard, and I thought I was in the right spot, but my arm was not in the right spot. And I remember him grabbing my arm to stop me, and it just, like, my bicep went like, you know what I mean? Like, it just kind of like turned funny, and it like swelled, and it was like hanging like jello, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm fine. And then, 10 months later of light lifting weights and dumbbells, and now it's fine, it looks fine, but for the longest time it looked like pretty deformed and weird. It wasn't a full tear, so I was lucky, but it's a slow recovery. I probably should have went to the doctor, but I didn't. Always go to the doctor with your injuries.
Always.
I don't. I have 2 of my students are paramedics, and I literally talk to them, and they're like, if you don't want to go, don't go. You should go. But you'll be fine if you do this, this, and this. And that's what I did, and probably stupid for not going, but hey, right now I'm fine. But yeah, the other thing I want to talk about is like the scariest thing for an injury. And it's not really an injury, but the scariest thing that could happen in jiu-jitsu, ringworm.
Yes.
Ringworm, outbreak of ringworm.
Staff.
Staff. Those things are the scariest, most worst injuries I can personally think of. I've never really had them, but I mean, like, they're bad to get rid of, and that would be my worst injury if I did get one. Would be staph infection, ringworm. So wash your gear, wash yourself, and sanitize.
Definitely.
Do not hesitate to wash yourself because you do not want ringworm or staph. Ringworm especially is gross. I knew some people that had it around the way, and it spreads quick, and it's definitely an injury that you don't want, and you don't want your teammates to know you have it either because it is highly contagious. So always wash yourself and your stuff.
Jesus. Just looking at some pictures I've seen of like staph infection, just like, oh my God, like how did you survive that?
just like, a dirty gi, or you didn't shower before class and your skin rubbed the wrong way with the other guy or other female or whatever, right? Like, the mats weren't properly cleaned properly or something stupid like that just happens. And then, like, next thing you know, you got an outbreak and, your face is covered in a dirty scab. So wash your stuff, please. Wash your stuff.
So other than wash your stuff, do you have any advice for people just wanting to start out or anything like that? Like any things they should be doing before they get into it or anything like that, like physically?
Don't watch jiu-jitsu
Okay.
before you start. Absolutely. Just research where you go. Check out lineage. We didn't talk about my lineage yet, but I would like to at the end of this. But lineage, you need to check lineage. Make sure it's Brazilian. It depends. It all depends on what you want to take. If we're talking about Jiu-Jitsu right now, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu specifically, you want to make sure that person that you're learning from is from a legit school. So you need to check lineage. So first thing is always research before you even contact the school. Look at their website, their Facebook, their Instagram, if they have a YouTube channel, check those things out first, and then decide if you want to contact them. Check out all the schools in the area first. Every person should always look at every school first, and then look at what they want to do. So if this, my school is kind of like sport competition, modern jiu-jitsu. So if you want to learn how to compete and how to point fight and hard training, I would go here. You know what I mean? If I want to just, learn as a hobbyist, not compete and train, I would go to one of the other schools, because there's other schools of jiu-jitsu in the area, and they're awesome. I'm not saying they're not. But always do your research first, and then decide from there. And the other thing is, just show up. Email the school, call the school, talk to the coach, talk to reception, whatever you need to talk to make your appointment. Make your appointment and show up. That's the best advice, to just show up. Because, if you don't show up, you kind of, you're never gonna show up. You know what I mean? When I went to kickboxing, I was nervous. I was like, oh God, these dudes are in shape, and I'm this fat dude, and I want to train. But I showed up, and then I just kept going. And no matter what it was, I just kept going. So it's if you want to learn and you want to get better at something, you just keep going, right? So if you like it, you'll go. So my advice for someone new is do your research, contact all the schools in the area, do your research again, make your decision, and then show up. Do the free trial, because every school, as far as I know, has a free trial, and take the free trial. No one's gonna get upset if you don't come back. It's thank you for taking my free trial, and have a good day, right? And if you come back, wicked, thank you, welcome to my family. And if you don't, all the best, and hopefully you find something that you like. So just show up. That's pretty much all I got. You don't need to be physically in shape. That's the biggest myth ever. You come into jiu-jitsu, and now you know how to do a cartwheel or a front roll or a shrimp or all these things, and I can teach you those things. But you just gotta show up. You gotta come to class and you gotta learn. And you come in and even if you had a bad day and you come in and you're in a bad mood, probably by the time you leave you feel better. So just show up. That's all I got. I know I said it 15 times now, but honestly, showing up is half the battle, and keep going. A lot of people quit jiu-jitsu because they don't get promoted the way they want to, or they're getting beat up all the time, or they work changes. But if you can find a way to make jiu-jitsu work for you and you love jiu-jitsu, just show up. And it starts from there. And that's all I did. I showed up and I just kept going. I remember getting choked out. I just kept going. And then I've actually been choked out by my own professor, and he was I had a guillotine and a bomb flu. When you first learning,
Yep.
you don't let go, you out, right? And and I just kept going. That didn't bother me. Oops, whoops, learn something. Here we go. Won't let that happen again. You know what I mean? So just show up. That's all I got. Have a positive attitude and just show up. Be nice. Everyone, any jiu-jitsu school I've ever been to, me being from Owen Sound, driving all the way to downtown Toronto to this world-class, famous, full of people school, and they welcomed me like I was the first class. And there's 50 people in class, and they were like, welcome, and do you want to come back? They were just straight up super nice to me, and I hope that anywhere anyone goes, they get the same treatment anywhere. That you're welcomed, and if you like it, you come back and you just show up, right? And that's. I tell my students every day, every class, I message on my Instagram or on Facebook, we have a group chat, and I'm like, hey guys, there's class tonight, I'm super pumped, can't wait to see you. That's that's the way it should be. Like they're, they're my family. I can't wait to see them, and I hope they just keep showing up, right? So like just like you, I want you to keep showing up, but you got hurt, so that's just it is what it is, right? So
Just how it goes, unfortunately.
yeah, man.
It's not like I'll never. It's not like, oh, I'll never do that again. It's right now. It's just like, let's just see on that one. That's how I'm at with it right now.
Look what you're doing. You have so many other things in your life going on. Like, does jiu-jitsu matter? You know what I mean? Like, it's just, some people just, they want to, jiu-jitsu, they're like, oh my God, look at this cool sport. I'm going to go learn it. And then other people are like, oh my God, look at this cool sport. Oh crap, I should not learn this. Right? Like, that's just how I look at it. So
It makes complete sense. So, like you said, you wanted to talk about your lineage. I didn't even take that into consideration. That's something I should have. So yes.
Yeah, no. Yeah, so I'm a second degree brown belt under Professor Elliot Dave from Open Mat Mixed Martial Arts Academy in Toronto. He's a second degree black belt under Professor Sean Williams, which is, I believe, is a fourth degree black belt under Professor Henzo Gracie out of the Blue Basement in New York. So like, I'm actually really connected to very high level original Gracie Jiu-Jitsu lineage, and a lot of people don't know that, and I don't really advertise that so much, but when they find out, they're like, wow, dude, and it's like, yeah, man, like, I'm like a hidden gem, and I take my lineage very well, and, I try not to put my name into something that would make Open Mat look bad, or I just, I'm always on my best behavior when it comes to Jiu-Jitsu stuff, because where I'm from is, like, world class, and, like, man, those people, they took me in like family, and, like, I would never... I never want to tarnish their name. So, like, that's why I want to mention the lineage, because the lineage is very important to me. My students are loyal to me. I'm loyal to my professor and my coaches down there and the other students that I've trained with, because some of those people I've trained with for 10 years, man. Like, I've known them for 10 years. And, like, I know them. Like, I know their life. Like, those are that's like my family. So, like, lineage is very important, and that's why I just want to make sure that that was mentioned in there, that, like, my lineage is very important, and it's very clear cut. It's me, Elliot, Sean, Henzo. And Henzo's a Gracie, and that, to me, is amazing. And if you don't know who Henzo Gracie is, you probably shouldn't even get into Jiu-Jitsu or UFC.
Pretty much.
Yeah, he's like one of the biggest names, and like I've never met the man, and like it's just like, wow, that I'm connected to something so crazy, that's so original. You know what I mean? And like, it's world class. Like, I'm not saying I'm world class. Like, I'm not at all. Like, I'm not even that great of a competitor. But like, I'm working on being a better coach and a better competitor when it comes back to competing. But I mean, I'm connected to something that can literally take me to the moon and back when it comes to jiu-jitsu. And I think a lot of people don't know that, and they don't realize that, so that's something I wanted to make sure that people know about me and know about my school. Like, I don't advertise Open Mat so much, but like, that's my affiliated school, and that's where I train in Toronto. When I train directly under Professor Elliot or another world-class black belt or brown belt that's legitly trained in worlds and won. And yeah, so like, just from Owen Sound, little, small town, doesn't mean anything. I'm connected, world class, right? I'm not world class, but I'm connected to world class, and I'm working towards being that, just like them. And that's, I hold myself to that standard, and yeah.
You're a great representative. I will say that, like, from an outsider who knows a little bit about this stuff because I'm a fan of this stuff, you're a really great representative of. And if yeah, like, you're doing the name proud. That's for damn sure. Like, that's all I can say about that. Like, there's nothing else to say, except I definitely did not know that you're that connected, like, all the way back to the originals, technically.
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely, yeah, man. Like, Helios Gracie, yeah, absolutely, man. Like, that's why I'm a hidden gem. And like, a lot of guys, they if you ever look at my posts online, you'll see guys from other gyms coming back to my gym to train, because like, they know, like, if they're in the area, if they're training, they should be training with, I guess, me, right? Like, I'm not very big on myself at all. Like, I'm very humble. Like, I get beat up all the time, and I know the stuff that you need to learn, right? And like, I really focus on modern sport jiu-jitsu, and like, where I'm connected is like endless opportunities to learn. The people down there are absolutely amazing, and they literally go and train with those other amazing world-class athletes where I can, right? So I love where I train, and yeah, world-class, and one day maybe I'll be able to do that too, right? But it's all one day at a time.
Exactly.
I really appreciate you doing this, and I really hope that, like, this gets seen by the community, and they, get some shut on my academy, because we train really hard, and we are athletes too, and they deserve the credit. And yeah, I'm more than happy to do stuff like this, and it just helps me grow and get some people more knowing who I am and what I do and where I represent. And my guys, for sure, like, all the credit goes to them, man. They train their butts off. Like, they literally train so much. So, like, if anything, this is for them more than anything else.
You're a great dude, man. I'm glad you came on here. I really appreciate you coming on here and taking the time to do this.